Hi, this is John with Estimator for SketchUp, and I wanted to take some time to introduce you to Estimator version 2.0. And what you're going to see first is that we've combined our favorite tools here. Our takeoff length, takeoff area, and our slab tool have now been combined with Estimator, and it's become length, area, and volume. So we've combined the power of those other tools all into one. If you're new to Estimator, I'll be still covering over everything that Estimator offers and all the features. But what I'm going to talk about right now is the new features that we've added. So starting at the very top, the question mark will take you to an online help document. This is a new button called Sync with Items Database. Now the Items Database is a new feature that long awaited that will allow you to essentially what you're doing is pairing up an item in your SketchUp model with an item in a database. And this can be your own customizable database. It's going to come with a couple thousand items used in construction, but you can make it your own if you're in a different industry. You can modify it to suit. It's completely customizable, and so is the cost codes database. So there are two databases now that you're completely customizable to interact with. And we'll be talking much more about those in the next video. Still have the same project settings, and these are global settings, whether you want real-time reporting or not, currency formatting, and then your company information can go in here, and you can upload a logo as well. This is all global settings. This is saved with all of your projects and will show up in your reports. So one of the things you're going to notice if you're an existing customer is that these tabs are red here, that you're not allowed to choose from them. What it is Estimator works off the current SketchUp selection. And right now there's nothing selected in the model, so therefore you can't add any pricing information. Just intuitively, there's nothing that you're going to be adding costs to. Quotes is the only tab that remains fully functional at all times because quotes allow you to add in, hit the quotes tab. This is where you want to add in quotes for things that you don't necessarily need to model or going to model. This might be intangible items like insurance or a dumpster or labor for something. And you can add as many quotes as you want. And one of the things you're going to notice in version 2 here is that now we have 5 different cost types. So this is more for the heavy estimators that want to separate their cost types between material, labor, subcontract, equipment, and other. So this gives you that ability. It's going to default to material. If it doesn't matter to you, then you don't need to use it. But for those who want that, this is a lot more power in here. All the tabs have a notes field as well. So this could be for specifications or anything that you want to note about any given item. So that's new in all the tabs across the board. Looking at the project folder or the project tab, this still contains the job information. This is the job specific information that's saved with your SketchUp file. So this is related just to the job that you're working on. And now we have a location where you can pick and choose your cost codes file, the CSV file, and your items database CSV file. Now these are two different databases, which I'm going to show you how, if you're not big into using cost codes or you're pretty general with your cost codes, I'm going to show you how you can use just this one items database to handle it all. But in practice, cost codes are fixed. Whichever your cost code structure that you're using in your company, it's pretty much fixed. You're not going to be changing the cost codes. But your items may be, the same item may have a different cost code. A 2x4x16 might be used in 5 different cost codes. It might be in framing, it might be in concrete formwork. And so you don't want to lock in what that cost code is. So you're able to choose that separately. But again, we're going to get into more detail on that. Some other new things in reporting are, you're going to notice in here, of course, the new 5 cost types that we have. You can show only, this is like a filter if you wanted to see only material or only labor, or cut any of these out. That just gives you that added functionality. You can now customize what columns are displayed in your report. So you may not want to show the price in a report. You could deselect that. You may not want to show totals. You may just want to show description and quantities. And where that comes into play in the customized reports are, I'll hit this HTML report. Now there's nothing selected, so there's no data, but you can now come up in here and reorder your columns. So this is a great way of being able to move things around as you see fit in your formatting for your reports. Okay, so that's the new features there. And again, with these tabs will not show unless you pick something. For example, I'm picking this component. So now all of a sudden the components tab is lit up, and it's a component that's called test. Okay, and then I can now come in here and it's going to react to whatever is selected. And so the difference now, when we're talking about the items database, in the previous version you would enter in your cost code, which would auto-populate, but you had to type in a description and a vendor, and then choose your multiplier and your unit rate and your units and your waste and your tax. You had to enter all those things. Now the difference is, again, you're associating an item in a SketchUp model with an item in a database. So for example, let's just say that that was a dishwasher. And I could come in here and start typing in dishwasher now in the items, in the description field, and I can pick which dishwasher it is. I'm just picking one randomly. And it's going to come down. There's no unit rate in my items database, but if it was, it would auto-populate that. Again, we're going to get much more into that. And then cost codes, this is where you might say appliances. And again, I'll show you how you can group those. So residential appliances, however your cost code structure is. Okay. So I'm just going to delete that for right now because we're not using it. When I click on this one, you'll notice it's got a material associated with it. And it's also on a layer. So that's why everything's lit up here, because you can choose from any which way that you want to assign pricing to that. For example, if I go to materials, you're going to see that the metal texture has been chosen. So we're going to jump on the next video into more in depth about these the cost code database and the items database. Just wanted to give you the overall heads up of what's new in version 2.0. There is one more feature that I will mention, is that we now have an exporter. And we have for assemblies is the first one. So assemblies are, let's say that this box here was, for instance, a slab, and that you've built this nice, all of your job costs associated with that slab, the concrete quantity, the square footage for labor, the square footage used divided by a multiplier for how many rolls of poly. You build all those up in what I call an assembly. You're able to now export that and save that somewhere on your computer. And then later on, when you're in a model and you need that, you could come in and import that assembly into your model. This is great because it prevents you from having to have a template file, or if you're in your template file and you want to quickly add a new element to it, you're able to do so. The other export is to CoreCon. Now CoreCon, if you're not familiar with it, is something that thousands of builders use. It's an online service for job costing and accounting. And the idea is that the users who use SketchUp and CoreCon can get their quantity takeoffs inside of Estimator and then export them to CoreCon. And we're going to be adding in several others like CoConstruct, Builder Trend, Procore, as many as we can possibly come up with in the future releases. Hopefully that'll help if you are a customer of one of those. And if you have not heard anything I've mentioned, or there's some that you would like me to look into, please email me at john@estimatorforsketchup.com. Stay tuned for the next video. Thanks.